Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, 2017. Made by a guy whose name is in the title as a homage to a Flash game. It's a game that's intended to piss you off in some way or another, and he advertises it as so in the Steam store page. The game is about you controlling some guy in a pot with a hammer, with the goal of using the crazy physics to hike to the top of whatever this crazy world is with its weird level design full of stock assets. The only control in the game is the mouse to move the guy's hammer. It sounds and looks like a simple game to play, especially if you watch videos of it, but it's a lot more obnoxious than that. Much of the obstacles you climb is built specifically so that a really bad move within them means a shitload of progress lost, which can make for good reactions out of people who record or stream themselves playing this game. These aren't usually so bad though for the people who know they can get back thanks to acquiring first-time experience of getting there to begin with. All of my own frustration with the game doesn't even come from falling and losing progress, but rather because the hammer has a bad habit of not doing what I tell it to. I wanted to do a hammer rotation, but the hammer did a twirl instead. Why did I not pogo jump as high that time when I've done it right so many other times? How fast you move your mouse doesn't always match how fast the hammer will move. So in that sense, you could say that the mouse acts more like a guide for the hammer, or the guy's arms, as opposed to being in actual control of the character. When you want to move your hammer to a certain position, there's a good chance you'll accidentally do something you didn't want. And Lord forbid you do that in a very delicate area where a small mistake can mean a bunch of progress lost.
Whenever I climb, I'm followed by a dog called Ego, Friedrich Nietzsche.
There are also a lot more physics in the game than it looks, further adding to the frustration. Anything the hammer touches can bounce, push, pull, or even slide you to where you didn't intend to if you accidentally move it a particular way. With the physics and controls being the way they are, it does mean that the skill ceiling for the game is rather high, which is good for speedrunners, I guess. For everyone else, it's just an annoying challenge, so you can say you beat this game. Never mind the crazy level design, the real challenge comes from dealing with the shitty hammer controls and figuring out how to make it work to get the results you want. The hammer isn't random or unpredictable, it just takes forever to get the hang of, but just because some guys can master it doesn't mean it can't be considered bad.
There's no feeling more intense than starting over.
There's a commentary narrated by the guy who made this that's on by default, talking about various things like the game itself, the concept of frustration, and the idea of modern people just wanting to play games that they can breeze through.
They want to burn through it quickly, a quick fix for the fickle, some tricks for the clicks of the feckless.
I personally didn't mind it, but watching others play, Bennett talking in general seems to piss many people off to the point that they just want to mute him. He only ever sometimes came off as condescending to me, or pretentious when he talked, which I assume some bits to be intentional. But I do kind of understand that much of his genuine commentary and supposed encouragement can have the opposite effect. Like, you're about to lose your nerve being stuck somewhere for a long time, and then comes this Australian guy talking about something you probably don't care about at the moment, because you're too busy being pissed off at the game. After all, he fucking made a section near the last part of the game that takes you to the very beginning, saying you should write it with the intent to lose.
You'll feel bad if you win, so I put this snake in for you.
You can get stuck at the very end of the game, the bad ending, Bennett even calls it.
You got the bad ending.
If you're not experienced enough with the game to spaz your way out of it, you may as well just restart. At the last part of the game, you get taken to a space section filled with asteroids that have their own gravity. It's almost impossible to fail here unless you panic too hard or you deliberately launch yourself downward back to solid ground. On the first playthrough, the space section is where one of the largest feelings of satisfaction comes around, because reaching this place gives the implication that there's nowhere to go but up, only using the floating asteroids to launch yourself higher to the end. On future playthroughs, it becomes an absolute annoyance of a section because reaching it means you've practically already beaten the game, but all the fucking asteroids and their gravity keep getting in your way. If you launch yourself smack under one, you have to nudge or drag yourself little by little to the sides, slowly, or you might accidentally push yourself too far down with how fickle the physics are. I've been playing this game on and off for 10 days since my first playthrough. The only reward in the end is the credits, with Bennett singing a cover of an old song, as well as a chat room that I want to assume used to be cool, having a little promise waiver thing saying you're only allowed inside if you're not recording or streaming. So it was like being invited to the cool kids club among others who beat the game. However, too many people have beaten and are beating it, highly devaluing the feeling of exclusivity, so it's a pretty shitty reward right now. Anyone's first playthrough of the game is always the longest, ranging from a few hours to maybe way over a dozen hours, depending on the person. Upon a replay, the game is 10 times easier just because you already have an idea of how to get over something. The only real rewards the game has for playing it multiple times is having your cauldron pot thing become more gold the more wins you have, until you hit 50 wins where it becomes fully gold and you get the last of the 3 Steam achievements. As a fun challenge, I wouldn't recommend it. The game was designed to be just a challenge with frustration in mind, and then overcoming all that. The controls and physics are just too annoying to deal with. Whatever looks unpolished was probably left like that intentionally too, based on the commentary. Most everyone is probably better off watching someone else get pissed playing this game, seeing as how it also makes for good reaction bait.